This conference will now be recorded.
Calling the meeting, the Parks and Rec Committee meeting to order at 10:03. Okay, and we will do public comment on anything that's not on. Oh, Jessica. Roll call first.
Trustee Shane.
Here.
Tristan Sanders. Todd Acey.
Here.
Jeremiah Jackson. Laura Ball. Wendy Ball.
Here.
Cindy Rajan.
Here.
Now moving on to public comment for anything that is not on the agenda. And anything? And then I'd also like to welcome Pauline York, who is our alternate member who was appointed at the last board meeting. She is in attendance. So thank you so much for joining us. Okay. All right, so I guess we will move on to the discussion items, starting with the golf course. Any committee members that would like to?
I'll start. Todd, you. Oh, wait.
Go ahead, Wendy.
I'll start, and Todd, you embellish. Last week, Burke trained a couple of us, me, Chris, and Gabe, how to move the holes on the greens. And we're going to come up with a plan, and whether it's weekly or bi-weekly, what it is throughout the summer, we'll get a regular schedule going. Just keep that up, because that's important to have good holes for the balls to drop. And I got the volunteer forms signed by the folks that helped me. I will say that there was a crew that started out on the tee boxes. That work is being done. They didn't sign these waivers. They were a little bit more rogue than I would have thought. And so I would appreciate a little more conversation between all the different groups. If we're going to have a committee and we're going to have people in charge, let's communicate with those people in charge. Because I'm already hearing things that I don't love about that project. Nonetheless, he's going to finish it up, and it's very exciting to have those tee boxes going in the right direction right now.
I agree with that. What she said. I want to bring up that we've been having some problems with the collection box.
Yes.
It's been an issue. And I think, I wish that we would have discussed this last time, maybe a little late here, but I think that we should pick up one of the another box that we have to drop for the airport and put it there. At least we would have a solid drop box for money so that people would have an option. I think that we should discuss also here in the future about other alternatives to collect money.
QR code would be excellent if we can get the internet access to make that work. And what Todd means is buttons are getting stuck. And so when a button gets stuck, you can't pay to play. And so we've had a lot of instances where women are standing there with their money and can't pay. So something more reliable. And if we can get internet access downtown, a QR code would just be brilliant. What else, Todd?
I think that's it. We have a plan to start moving along and getting the tee boxes redone with Bill Franklin and a volunteer crew. So that's in the plans, and I think that what's going on, Chris, with the greens? Are we going to sand those this year, or are we going to wait until later in the year?
Well, I guess at this point, we're going to have to wait until later in the year.
I thought that that's where it's going to go. We'll get the tee boxes done, though, here in the same sort of fashion. And at least that will look good. The greens look good, better than they did last year. So.
And maybe we'll take it upon ourselves to create a maintenance schedule that everyone can follow, and knowing that it's not going to start tomorrow, but something where everyone can get ready. And there might even be an opportunity to get a training out here for the golf course specifically. But if we can get a schedule going, that's a good place to start also. Was one other thing that jumped in my head. It would be nice if we could get 9 new cups for the flags to stick into. Burke said those ones are they're old, maybe 10 years of life we've gotten out of them. And it's just that that middle hole is kind of wonky now, and so the flags don't stay firm, and so then they fall into the fresh hole that you just cut, and it makes an indented mark. So it's like $10 per steel insert, and Burke sent me to the link to that if we could request. I know money's tight, but it's not over the top, but it's kind of necessary for the poles to remain vertical. He also gave me a link for new poles themselves, but I think Dylan went to the maintenance shack and grabbed a whole bunch of poles, which seem to be in my garage right now. None of those are broken, Todd.
Yeah.
Those were all fine. So we're gonna replace everything that's been taped up with real good poles. So that issue shouldn't be a thing right now.
Anybody else?
Any, Simi, any questions? So my question is, with the volunteers that were helping, you said they pretty much refused to sign the
No,
waiver?
my crew signed, but the people that did the initial work on the tee boxes, I didn't get a form to them.
Okay.
So,
Were they offered the form, do you know, or
pardon me?
were they offered the
I
form,
do
or
not
you
know.
didn't?
I think
So we
at
should check
least,
into
yeah,
that.
we should all know protocol because I want it to be
There is
done
a
correctly.
protocol, and we have those forms
I
for
agree.
volunteers so that the district's not being held liable
Yeah.
for any.
That being said, if Maureen wants to make a very large amount of more copies, we're gonna have a day where everyone goes down there, maybe pulls weeds and weed whacks a little bit. So I feel like I'd take everything that she has in her folder every time I come through, but if she could have a whole bunch more for my next pickup.
Yeah, definitely from a district liability standpoint, volunteers need to be signing those
Yeah.
forms.
Oh, yeah.
Before
And I've
they're
been turning them in as I get them signed.
So you don't have any questions? Any public comment on the golf course?
I might have one other addition, like as far as thinking about, Todd and I have talked a little bit about, well, you know, we thought this crew was about raising money for, like, so we're kind of getting the golf course ready so that we can do fun things and raise money for the RID tournaments, fun events, games, clinics, you know, whatever. So we have an eyesight towards what's coming, and kind of like making the golf course a little more desirable to look at is also on our list. Just low hanging fruit of landscaping and stuff. But I might throw out there that I don't know that this town is very well branded, and I don't know that I've ever seen a Shelter Cove logo, and it might be out there and I just haven't seen it yet. But I would love to see some sort of a welcome sign on the first hole of the golf course, and or some sort of a welcome to Shelter Cove sign down by the airport that greets people. And then take that logo everywhere and put it on everything and start selling stuff. I don't know where that fits in our agenda because I don't feel like we're ever asked what should be put on the agenda. It's another topic.
Okay, that we can go on to unfinished business, and yeah, we'll discuss that further. Because I
Put me into where to go. Put me in a lane and I'll stay in it. But right now, I don't feel like we have one.
Okay. We do have a logo. The district has a logo. The Cove has a logo. A beautiful logo. So that could, yeah, that could be the Shelter Cove logo.
The inner portion of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the district
Okay.
logo. And I could see the merit to having a welcome to Shelter Cove sign down by the airport / golf course, since especially if people are playing it. Or
Yeah, at the corner of Upper Pacific and Shelter Cove Road, the signs there.
which is Scopa. Is that the Scopoa?
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that there also? If I look harder, am I going to see this more often?
No, I don't think that the logo's there. Maybe that's something we can reach out to Scopoa.
Might be a lighthouse logo.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there is a welcome to Shelter Cove sign.
Elsewhere.
Shelter Cove
Yeah.
Road. Probably
Yeah.
But I could see where it would be beneficial to have something downtown, so
Yeah.
to speak.
Sorry.
Yes, Jessica?
So if anybody has interest in getting things on the agenda, you should speak with your chairperson who attends an agenda setting meeting along with either of the board members, either Tristan or Tasha. They're alternating at those meetings. So if you want something on the agenda, the proper procedure would be to discuss it or to email or send it to either one of those people. And then we'll talk about it at the agenda setting meeting.
Thank you.
And then I also want to clarify that unfinished business is a section to conclude business that did not get completed. It's not to fill out new business. Thank you.
And so with that, I do think the board members could do some more outreach to people on the committee.
Yeah. We're still getting the routine going. It's been hardly, one that we've had a full group. So it's hard.
Okay, moving on to a discussion topic of trail. Moving on to the discussion topic of trails. We put this on as a discussion item after the last RID board meeting. Nick, Chief Pape brought up the fact that they are working on their fire breaks and that there is an opportunity to coincide that with implementing trails. It will take more permitting and the fire breaks are exempt from the CEQA, and the trails would not be exempt from the CEQA. And so we would still have to go through the environmental review, which is a huge process. But if we tied it into other existing BLM trails and used them as connecting for, like, say, a bike trail, etc., it could be something that we reach out to the BLM in getting help and advice on how to approach that particular project. What the district does have is property, and that is something, the trails are something that would be doable. Everything is going to take time. Everything has to go through the proper procedures. This was on discussion, like he brought up at the meeting 10 years ago, and had we started that 10 years ago, we would be just that much further down the line on getting it approved. I think that originally when they were looking at the bike trail, the CEQA requirements and the funds that takes did kind of, and this is just my opinion, it kind of scared the district away from that. And the people that were involved at the time didn't have maybe the time to help the district get through that process. So we, as a committee, where that's something that I think we could help the district with. I believe at the first meeting, did we pick any BLM? I thought we had like a BLM representative that we didn't do that.
For the board or the
Or for the committee? No. Okay, so that was just for the board. Okay, I know, I believe it's Wes Bonheim is the board member for a connection to the BLM, so that must have been with the grid board. So I will reach out to him and with this idea of starting that dialogue with BLM to see to identify where places in the Cove it could help, like, connect BLM properties with district properties.
That's what I was going to ask. You're talking as if there is already a hypothetical trail out there. Is there something that you're already alluding to that's established?
There was, back in the day, the one that Logan was working on, the bike trail from the Kings Range. And that is functioning. What is it?
It's the Square Rock Bike Trail. It begins slightly down the road, about a mile. I don't know. But you can identify it by the Square Rock, and it connects down into
Telegraph.
So that little tiny trail. Yes. Okay. So I walked that, and that's a beautiful trail. So there is a way to make that a thing.
I believe so. And then, I mean, from my point of view, it would be nice to have a trail, even though they can walk Telegraph Creek Road. We do have some other beautiful little informal trails along Telegraph Creek. And but if we had a trail that went down all the way down to Black Sands or something like that.
Is that bike trail a loop, or is it kind of one directional?
It's one direction.
It's one directional. Are there any downtown? I know Todd was talking about a downtown walking loop that people could take. Is that?
would be
What's
amazing.
your idea there?
Well, I have two spots that I think that are good. The one is up on Willow Glen, which is a huge piece of property that is not being used, you know what I mean, for anything. And I see that as again, a beautiful spot, but it has no tie into BLM. And then you said that Telegraph Creek has no tie into BLM.
Right, and that's where going to BLM and seeing if they might be interested in at least giving us the direction on how to get through the environmental requirements.
How did we get Franklin Trail?
It was all,
The scarf, the nature trail.
it was informal. My understanding was informal. And we're looking to making things more formalized from a district liability. But yeah. Is somebody online?
Yeah,
Do they have any questions?
no,
So what's the action? What are we trying to get out of this trails topic?
This isn't really action, this is just a discussion.
Just a discussion, a need,
my-
an excitement level,
Yeah.
how much the community
Well,
wants
it's
it, all
more-
that.
I do believe that the trails will be, in my opinion, should be added to our strategic plan for the Parks and Rec because it involves ecotourism. And it's something that the district has property. That's one thing we have, and trail maintenance. Although it will take some volunteerism, it is something that's doable. We just have to go through the proper procedures. And so my recommendation, and it's not an action item, it's just a discussion at this point, but it would be to approach the RID board member whose liaisonship is to the BLM, and just at least to get some information from them on like how best to approach a project like this would be my first idea.
Does
And then-
Nick have a master plan or a good sense of where he's
He
going to be
has-
drawing these fire lines?
The
Maybe we could work
yes,
with him.
Yes, he's got the maps of the fire breaks, and again, initially those are exempt. Now, if we were to maintain them for trails, then at some point we'd have to go, even with his existing ones, I believe we'd have to go through the CEQA, but they would already be established.
Help me with what the CEQA is.
It's the acronym for it. It's basically the environmental review.
Got it, thank you. I see it now.
So it was more just to bring up, the trails are going to be within the strategic plan at some point when we give the list, in my opinion. So this was just to bring it up to discussion. It was something that Nick addressed at the RID meeting and requested that we start looking at that. Does anybody have any questions?
You need a volunteer to be the liaison with BLM or Sandy or something. Happy to help.
Okay. And I think we would probably put that on as an action item at the next meeting if we had a liaisonship from the committee to work with RID board member who liaisonship. That sounds appropriate. So maybe we'll bring this back as an action item and then ask the committee on who wants to be that, and if you're volunteering, that would be awesome. Does that sound fair?
Sounds fair.
Nick, you here. We were just discussing the trails and the fire breaks. Do you have anything to add? I was explaining that has the fire breaks, you have been exempted from some of the CEQA requirements. For us to maintain those as trails or connect them to district trails, that we would have to go through the CEQA. And I was making the recommendation that we do a liaisonship to the BLM and kind of start seeing what that process looks like. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, so Fire Chief Nick Page, Cove Fire, half off duty right now. Yeah, so the trail system in Shelter Cove is all basically unofficial. Right? As far as I know, we have no official trail system that has been through the full permit process. Our green belt is public use, so there doesn't have to be trails to go use the green belt. You can access them, you can go hiking them, kind of at your own risk at this point. Some of the trails that we've done in the past are, at this point grandfathered in for our area, right? We have the nature trail. We have trails that we call official. However, we don't have an actual trail plan that covers those trails, right? So in order to expand our trail system, we have to have some sort of trail plan. As far as the Greenbelt fire breaks go, those are not trails. Right? Those are fire breaks. We can access them in certain areas. The working with the Parks and Rec committee, what would make sense is to turn the Greenbelt areas that we could treat for fire safety into trails. Right? The harder work is already done. The specific issue that we're talking about with CEQA, with the environmental protection stuff, is going in there and improving the greenbelt, going in and actually cutting trails, installing bridges, making the trails more accessible to the average person, not just hunters and people that want to go hike the greenbelts and go off trail and that kind of thing. The problem with encouraging people to go use the greenbelts is we do put them at risk. You saw the rescue just did out of the King Range that had a very well-defined trail. People went off trail, and then we had a rescue situation. So we want to encourage people to go use the greenbelt because it's one of the recreation opportunities that we already have established. We don't have to do much to them. But if we want to take it to that next level and promote a trail system like they've done in other cities and communities, it does take some time to do correctly. Right? What we've already done is the legwork of getting the trails and really the mapping and the brush out of the area. If we want to actually go in and cut hand line and make it a nice walkable path, that's where you'll have to look into those environmental compliance. And I can't tell you what they'd be. A lot of our trail systems are out of the coastal zone, which will be helpful with that. But that's where you're talking about talking to the BLM and doing it, going to other communities that have done this process already. I highly recommend that with any project you guys do. We do it at the fire department a lot. I wish I could take credit with a lot of the great ideas that we've done in the last 10 years, but usually we go and call from another department, call them and say, hey, what did you guys do that worked well? What didn't work well? So when it comes to the trails, we have a huge opportunity to have one of the best trail systems probably in the state, definitely on the North Coast, with the way our greenbelt's laid out, but it is going to take some time and planning. It's not going to happen overnight. And if any of you guys want to come and meet and discuss what we've already done, where we're at, with the fire breaks and how we can turn on the trails, I'm open. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are my normal duty shifts, but I can meet at pretty much any time.
That was well said. Thank you. And it is my hope that at some point that this committee does some field trips together, like maybe we hold a meeting out in the field and look at some of our green belts together as a committee. Okay, any other questions or suggestions from the committee? No perspectives on that one. Any public comment on the trails? Okay, moving forward. Fundraising. This is a discussion item. Did we have something in mind?
It was requested at previous meeting that remain on the agenda.
Any committee member? Sitting?
Yes. So we, last time we kind of briefly discussed that there's a lot of great ideas, and we had presentations from the Wailaki group, also from Riley about the pump track. So there's some, and we're going to send out the survey and we'll get a feedback on a lot more projects. But seems like the problem is about money. Always comes down to great ideas. No shortage of great ideas, but money. So Jack also last meeting mentioned a little bit about either we have to, and our polling talked about this too a little bit. Like we have been talking about this for years and years, but no action. So once we have the survey back, then we could pick like top 5 projects we want to spend time on, or something else. Planning towards the funding is an important aspect. Whether it could be a tax on the parcels, I'm sure it's not going to be very popular. So Jack mentioned a little bit like we have 4,000 lots here, and if you do like $100 tax or something, then we are looking at $500,000 or like 450,000 worth of money, which we could average project is looking like $120,000 to $150,000. Just a pump track example using that. Or let's say if you want to put in a swimming pool, So that's like the hard cost in the beginning would be something like 125,000. So if we raise $500,000, we could easily do one of these 5 or most of the 5 projects. So one of the other ideas, I'm sure the tax on the lots would be a lot of resistance from people who have owners. Like you mentioned one of those meetings, like people on the upper Shelter Cove area, they think like they were not going to get a benefit if you put a swimming pool on the lower area. But regardless, what we should do is ask all the nonprofit organizations plus all the businesses together in Shelter Cove do something like a fundraising towards a raffle ticket or something. So we talked last meeting about doing something like a $100 raffle ticket for a lot to build. So build your dream home on a lot in Shelter Cove, kind of like and then we should limit something like a 10,000 ticket sale, register with the state, do it properly. And all the businesses, all the nonprofits kind of like do like a massive fundraising, and they take, let's say, Visit Shelter Cove, take ownership of like a 1,000 tickets, and then try to sell it through their membership or their activities or promote. And we could even have newspaper advertisements or television or online advertisement for this project. We could sell tickets online. Idea is like if you have 10,000, probably we could raise up to $1 million, and there's going to be some costs associated with that. But at the end, we'll have something like $500,000 saved up. And so this will be a collective effort from the entire community. If the entire community supports something like this, let's say, the guests come to Jippo, they could sell after they, so pay the bill. We could talk to them, say, hey, we have a program like this. You could build your home here. And same thing with the Lost Coast. If a guest comes there, we could talk to them. Hey, have you heard about this program? And leave some kind of a flyer there, and then try to get that 1 or 2 ticket sales. At the end of we probably need a 1 year of planning. Probably like we'll do something like an auction of next summer, and by this summer we finalize the details, and we'll have 1 year lead to sell the tickets, because we'll have to announce the dates when we sign up with the California state, and then we have to follow the deadlines and everything, and we have to do the drawing on the specific date we mentioned. And if you don't sell enough tickets, then we might end up like giving away a lot. So RID owns a few different lots, or we get donations sometimes. People who donate their ticket lots.
So am I understanding you're talking about the district raffling off a property for someone to build their home?
Correct. The other cities does this, like City of Rancho Palos Verdes does.
Yeah, I'd like to see some. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll send you a bunch of information. So if you have to do anything raffle, it's highly regulated. So we'll have to register with the state, and properly, we have to do it properly. And the biggest problem would be to sell the tickets. So we could get the legal part figured out, but without the entire community support, we won't be able to sell the tickets. And RID cannot sell all of them, I'm sure. But like,
I would like to know how the district would be operating within that. So
probably a committee can take on something like this, or we could work with one of those 501c3s, like a SCARF would be a great place to start. Visit Telco is happy to help. And then,
Property owners.
Scopoa. Oh, and then, Todd is here. Todd can sell to his guests, and we could have some sort of like we could even compensate people who sell them too. We could figure that out. Like, for example, they have to put efforts, time, and talk to their guests, and they probably get a commission or something. Like businesses, like if Mimochima offers to sell 10 tickets, they get a percentage for the cost and time they spend on it, or something like that. Idea is like to raise like $500,000 to $1 million, and there will be cost associated with that. And if we raise $500,000, and the lot is, I think already owns a few buildable lots, and we could pick one of the lots. And if you do it 3 years in a row, if you raise $3 million, we could use towards RID funds too.
Yeah, definitely. I think we should probably keep that on this as a discussion item to.
I think for the general public meeting, get people's input on that one would be a big deal for me. I don't even know how to feel about it, honestly.
As a public agency, that's kind of a hard one for myself on the board. One of the things is that the district does have a lot of greenbelt. A lot of our greenbelt isn't buildable. The few lots that we have that are buildable, we really, in my opinion, need that for district infrastructure.
buy a
But
lot.
we could look at something,
So let's say we
100%
are,
against it. I'm just also, there's a lot of legality there that we would need to get, as a public agency, and definitely community buy-in, how that works for the community. Any other committee?
Oh, same thing with me. I would need to know how everyone feels about it. It's big. I like how you think.
I like the big picture. It's
But I don't know
definitely-
enough to know how people would feel about that.
the
Straight up.
alternate plan for raising funds would be a property tax, like $100 one time. We could raise $500,000. But from the brief conversation I had with general friends, not less community, like they are like, no more. It's like,
Yeah,
no tax. And some people are on fixed income, like
Yeah.
all of us know, and they don't want to see another $100.
yeah, and I do think that that's one of the kind of the crux is that the more that the district adds to our infrastructure, the more cost it
Mhm.
takes for the district to run, and then that cost goes out to property owners and definitely I know we're looking at some other utility tax increases, possibly fire department tax, so that might be so maybe the raffle is the way to go.
Right.
But definitely the bigger picture of legality and how the rest of the community feels about it is needed. So I do like that. Maybe we approach this at our
Sure.
as
Yeah.
an
I was
idea
going to suggest maybe RID
next
board can
step.
discuss, and
and
if
for the town hall.
probably and for the town hall, and if they say okay, and then I could scope out the details for you, like talk to some legal people, and just kind of like a scoping out, exploratory information, and what actually takes to get something done, and is there any cost up front. We could probably partner with nonprofits like Visit Shelter Cove or all these people for some administrative cost or something. They could take care of that or something like that. Right. I also know organizations like HLA, Humboldt Lodging Alliance. They provide capital infrastructure grants. The Eureka Skywalk project, HLA provided $500,000 to City of Eureka, and City of Eureka maintains the ticketing and upkeep of the property, but they provided a upfront cost. So let's say if we were to put in one of those projects we discussed, like out of the 5, or let's say swimming pool, and they could provide you $125,000. If we approach them in the correct way, they probably will pay for that. They don't want to be associated with, they don't want to be the liability. Somebody has to run it. So at that point, either it could be a public partnership like Shelter Cove RID, or a business like the Lost Coast could take on the, and then if let's say somebody like the Lost Coast maintains it, they collect like $10 for a swimmer, $5 goes to RID, $5 goes to the Lost Coast. And in those situations, it's usually a memorandum of understanding, which each parties are doing. So district is not responsible for somebody get hurt or something.
Yeah, that's and from a board standpoint, that's what I'm looking at is district liability. It just takes one accident that could really affect the district negatively. But I think this is definitely big picture ideas, and yeah, thank you, Sammy. I think that's fun. And so public comment, and if you could come to our little public comment.
Well, it's not a big comment, but there has been lots of raffle gifts.
There has.
Yeah, in the past. I don't know where the proceeds went.
Oh.
But it was pretty popular.
Was it?
It was popular?
Was it through the district?
I don't know. But we've done that in the past. Like I don't mean the district.
Okay.
I don't know.
Like pioneers.
That's what. Yeah. Okay.
It has been done successfully.
Thank you, Katie McMahon. I'm gonna mention your name for our public comment.
Thank you.
And please, if you have a public comment, please go to our public comment.
Okay, so for us who can't get up that easily with my back injury, I don't really want to see you guys be struggle to get up there.
No, we don't want to see that. Thank you, Dina.
And I have a loud voice. So
Okay, and we do 3 minutes for the public comment. Like,
Okay.
Carry on.
So, are you guys gonna try to go for grants on this? And if so, are you going underneath RAD, or are you gonna try to get umbrella and be a 501c3?
Thank you. I wanted to talk about grants because I was just reading some this morning, and there's some really nice chewy ones out there. But we need to just, I feel like as a group, and when this survey ever goes out, do we really want to get that clubhouse vibrant and as a hub for downtown and something that stuff can radiate from a nice, integral, awesome clubhouse? If so, there's grants out there. And I hope we can hunt them down and get things going, but it's going to take people, everyone wanting to get that done in order for me to want to consider going deeper into those grants. But I'm ready to go, man. As soon as I feel like people want to have a vision that I kind of have for this clubhouse, and I don't think it should be a shut up, a closed entity. I think it should be open. It should have an office. You know, once we get to the sport court, I want to talk about how we can make money there, but I think we need a central hub, a vibrant community center. And yes, there's a ton of grants to make that happen.
There is.
I know.
Continue with your.
Okay, so Jessica knows how to write grants, Suzette doesn't know how to write grants, Mark Mitchell does, and I also do. Okay, and so it's just a matter of research and writing it, fitting it with the project, okay, and being very clear and precise.
And that's what I feel like might be a tough.
Pardon me?
That's where I feel like the stopgap might be, getting everyone on the same page for what we want.
Well,
Once I feel that's dialed, let's go get it.
The one thing that CU said that was huge, we've got to have community buy-in, okay? And I'll leave it at that. You guys know where I live.
Thank you, Dina. And
I'm sorry I can't get up there, but he's seen me, he's carried me out.
in just one moment, Nick. And so the clubhouse is definitely is going to be a part of the strategic plan. What this committee's main priority is initially is to present the list of projects to the district board to consider to put into the strategic plan. Once that happens, then we can start looking at how we will still be looking at how we accomplish things, but the priority right now is to come up with that strategic plan list so that we can start formulating the district as a whole, along with the other parts of the strategic plans within the district, the utility part, and adding that all together. This is going to take. That's really the priority of this committee at the moment, is to come up with that list, which is I'm hoping that after the town hall meeting, after the survey goes out, that we should be able to have the list nailed down and with like 5-year plan, 10-year plan type of a information to bring to the board by like the May, June meetings. And then we can move forward with determining what the priority is. And I can't speak for everybody, but definitely as a board member, I would say, yes, our community center needs help, and that is a priority. But as far as jumping the gun and saying, oh, we're going to start looking for grants right this moment, we're not there.
No way. No way. Not even close.
Just before we talk about the grants, I just want to make sure that we understand what the word grant means. I'm managing like $9 million in grants right now, and that means I can't be the fire chief I want to be. So if we say that, hey, we're going to go out and we're going to find all these grants, it's fairly easy. And we need to look at grants. That's something, the only reason that RID is going to exist in the future is going to be for grants. We need to be very clear at what we're prioritizing with those grants. We only have a set number of people at the RID right now that can manage a grant. And normally, if a grant is $20,000 versus $6 million, the reporting and the follow-up paperwork is about the same. And that's something that we really need to take into account, is we're going to tax the RID staff that should be doing other priority work to do grants for Parks and Rec. Right, so that's the first thing, and I know that firsthand is we've gone out and gotten $15,000 grants that the amount of time and effort that goes into that grant is not worth it for the free money. If we have people that are making $50, $60 an hour facilitating that grant, it adds up pretty quick to where the grant is offset. Even some of our previous field reduction grants, we found out very quickly, the in-kind that the district was putting into making that grant attractive was overshadowed by the amount of actual RID time and staff time that we couldn't put into other stuff and maintenance and other projects across the ridge. So very important, if we are going to do grants, we need to have really strong partners in these other associations and groups that we're talking about. The RID can't do everything. The RID can be a fiscal sponsor and it can be a property sponsor, but it's not going to be the catch-all to say, hey, we're going to give all these grants to the RID and go out and find the grants and then kick them off to Jessica or Johnny and Frank or Dylan, right? So we need to be very clear on that. The RID also needs to be clear on what we can take on. You know, if we finish a grant, all right, maybe we can add another grant. Second portion of that is we need to really look at what we already have and what we've already paid into. And I've heard other stuff around with the golf course, the parks, the community center. Not learning from our history is a huge mistake. I know Jack's sitting in here. He started this a long time ago. I sat in it. It's been almost 15 years coming to these meetings for the RID meetings. Kids that we planned on building sports courts for now are graduating college and having kids of their own, right? So there's something to be said about that we need to go back and look at why some of those projects didn't get finished in the first place 15 years ago. Community center's a perfect example. When I started coming to the RID meetings, we had this great plan for community center. We should have already been enjoying it for the last 3 years, and it failed right at the end, right? And a lot of what it was we never went out and got full costs. You know, we never came to the community and said, this is what it's going to cost. This is our plan. We made these great artist rendering. We got everybody excited. Never had an end game on it. So really going out and finding those communities. Fortuna's built 2 community centers in that time. Going and seeing exactly what they did, and we would be foolish not to try and follow a little bit. It's not going to be perfect for Shelter Cove, but 85, 90% of it is going to be very similar to what we're going to have to do out here. Same thing, swimming pools, any big development we do in the coastal zone is going to take coastal zone permits. So we need to get on that fairly early, and we need to know, hey, exactly what is this, before we get the community excited, is this feasible? And maybe hire a project manager. You know, that would be, if I was doing a lot of these projects and I'm the project manager for a lot of the fire department projects, we need somebody that can just take that project and not a big committee that is talking about the project. One person has to take charge of that project in order for it to get done. And that's what they're doing on large scale projects and small scale projects. So I'm all for it. I'm going to raise a family out here. I want to see this community flourish and have parks and rec. But we're talking about very large, expensive things that bigger cities are having a hard time with. And again, we just need to go look at how there's a bunch of communities that built pickleball courts in the last 5 years. It's a huge thing. And I'm not sure that we've gone out and talked to any of those cities and said, hey,
Yes, they
we've
have.
done it. So
They have.
our pickleball, I'm talking about the RID. Yeah, the people that are building the project, not the pickleball court folks. To say, hey, we're copying yours. We're still kind of building our own thing right now, you know, and so I've seen that with other projects just from my experience out here. So it's one of those things where I want to see it be successful, and in order to be successful, we have to realize what it's failed at in the past. So that's again, if you guys want any questions, Jack has been through a lot of it, and he'd be, you know, more than happy to talk about it too. So, thank you.
I have one more thing.
Thank you. Well, just one moment. Just one thing that I would like to add is, I think one of the things that has hindered the district in accomplishing a lot of the big ideas is the fact that the district isn't being given the costs, legitimate, like clear costs of what it can potentially cost the district until the very end. And then it comes, we put all this time and energy into it, and then we look at it and the reality is the district can't afford it. And so that's, from my experience, that's what a lot of what has kept us from accomplishing things. So with these, what we're looking at, that's, I think, just being upfront as much as we can from the get-go, so people aren't taken aback at the end by how much everything is going to be costing. Would be my advice, is being honest right up front.
I wouldn't do it any other way. So yeah.
So just to add to that, I have done a couple of projects in Shelter Cove. So with proper permitting, cost estimate, getting a loan, always there is additional cost before the completion of the project. So that's the nature of the beast. We can expect there's going to be, they even have a formula for how much it could be the overages. And then So the problem, I go back to my original statement about we have so many great ideas. Money seems to be the problem. So we have to work backwards, raise the money, and then pick the projects and do thorough analysis, study, and then pick a handful of projects. That way the fundraising stream is not connected to a specific project. Like grant is specifically, like Nick mentioned, grant is attached to the project, whereas fundraising, like $1 million in the bank, and then go out, pick the project, get the community excited. And if you don't have money for two projects, you do one project with $1 million, and the fundraising machine will keep running for maybe multiple years as the board and RID decides. Let's say 5 years we do this and raise $5 million over the period of 5 years. And that is a continuing effort. It's like all the businesses, nonprofits with the community partnership keep selling those raffle tickets. It's an ongoing process once you start getting going. And then we have enough money, we could pick and choose and make it more. But grant is very specific to the project.
And it takes the money to, oftentimes with the grants, the entity has to put out the money before they receive the money back. And that's also where we can find ourselves into some sticky situations with other infrastructure projects coming up. Dina, you said you had a.
So years ago, I actually applied for the scholarship and I won the Pioneers. But you guys have a proposal somewhere in there of a swimming pool. And it was unbelievably, I mean, it's a great dream and it would be so good for fitness around here. But it was unbelievably expensive. And then finding the land and all that. And I mean, I had children back then. So I would love to see that. I think the HLA grant is good. You guys need to figure out how you're going to get umbrella between foundations or RD's going to handle it. We did, when we did the playground, RAD got capital grant. And then also, I got grants for the playground. So, and we did an amazing amount of fundraisers, which some of you know. So you need to have a plan. That's all I'm going to say is a plan and buy-in. And I'm more than willing to help. Volunteering. Okay. Yeah, I know. My cat's dead, so.
You want to help weed the putting green?
The what green?
Weed the putting green?
I don't know what the pine green is.
Putting. You said you wanted to help. Would you like to help weed the putting green? I'll give you a weeder. You can pull weeds. I'll use you as a volunteer. I'll find you. I know where you live.
And I think what Dina's more referring to is the paperwork. I mean, if she has back injury.
Oh, I'll help you with that too. Oh,
anyway.
Forgot.
And getting back on the fundraising. Yeah, I think I understand what you're saying, Cindy. I think that definitely has some merit.
Can I add one more? So I was thinking about Chief Pape's comment about the help and RID project manager type situation. I think if we, I have seen willingness from nonprofit organizations, including to help you with free grant writing support, whatever it requires. I'm happy to volunteer for that. And I know good people at SCARF, good people at Scopoa, Pioneers are willing to do. If it's a community thing, there is a very good sense of community here. So.
And I think that might be the kind of golden ticket there that hasn't happened in the past, is that in the past, from what I've seen, is a lot of the communities is the RID needs to provide this, right? And what the RID really is we own the land. We own the land, right? And we manage some of the funds coming in. But if you go look at a lot of those larger projects, they usually have some form of higher up investors, even in incorporated cities. And so that's one thing the RID is always going to have to do is prioritize, and right now it's a really hard one because it's water, fire, power versus Parks and Rec, right? And so if you look at it from that standpoint, if we want to hire another 3 or 4 people to do Parks and Rec, that's great. But you guys are talking about the community doesn't want to put any more taxes on. We're a public agency. That's how public agencies run. You try and run a public agency like a private business, that's where we're starting to run into other issues on a federal level. And so right now, it's great to have a mix of that, and that's why I think the other agencies come in. They can bring that private side to it that the RID just can't. And a lot of it is when we go into fundraising and other stuff, how that money's spent. Even our grants right now, we have to pay for a single source audit on our USDA grant for 2 years because we're getting more than $600,000 in federal funding. And that's the cost of the district. Yeah. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff that because we're the special district or public agency, it kind of puts us in that next realm where if we pool our resources with these private agencies or these nonprofits, it makes us way more flexible. And so I think that's something that I haven't seen taken advantage of so much in the past. I have seen a lot of the communities, the park was a great example of that, but that's been a long time. People forget how long that park's been there. It still looks great. We've been keeping up on the mark, but we haven't really done a full project like that in a long time and done it right. We have other projects, and we're still waiting on permits for them, but we need to make sure if we're pushing this through a RID sanction committee and we're doing with RID funds and grants especially, that's where it has to be done right. You can't cut any corners if you're doing a grant. Fundraising is a little bit different if it's our funds. I don't want to say we can cut corners, but you don't have those stipulations that you have with grants, especially state and federal grants.
And from a
That's a great
district
point.
budgetary point of view, we definitely do not have the budget for project manager. So I think with perhaps doing more research into how we could do agreements with private entities or other nonprofits if they were willing to take on that liability of management, that's something that can be looked at and is probably the only way that we're going to get a lot of this done.
At least there's going to be at least 5 or 6 organizations here, 501c3, which is not registered nonprofits, and lots of legal flexibilities when because they had to go through all the paperwork and report a bunch of stuff. They're already doing that, and they probably use accountants and do filing taxes. So they could take on some of these projects, and they not misusing the funds and things like that. For sure.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we could be open to that. One of my concerns is that we do work with the other nonprofits within the community. The playground is a great example of what it took for community buy-in, and we have some volunteers here today that really helped push that forward. I will say that ultimately, originally, the Pioneers was going to provide the chips, and there was going to be more maintenance on a community level. Over the time, that volunteerism starts to kind of wane, and so now the district is left with footing the bill for everything. And
I'm sorry.
Hold on one second. And so, just making sure that we're going to be covering our bases and that the district does know potentially, what is it going to cost the district if our agreements fall through with the other nonprofits? What is it going to cost the district? Is going to be needing to be taken into consideration, in my opinion.
Sure.
Yes.
Sorry.
Interesting.
It was written. You guys got to remember, I lived and breathed this for 7 years. Is that it was written in the proposal, and RID agreed to it, and it was a huge thing, huge, and that they would provide, RID would always be there. They would be there forever as far as taking care of it, because we knew our time frame was going to be short, and so.
Yeah, I just know from my experience.
It's written, I got it, I can show you the proposal.
That's awesome. Just from my limited experience on the Pioneer board and what I was told that the Pioneers were responsible for at that time. So that's just. Okay, so any other questions, ideas on the fundraising? No. So we will move forward to a sports court update. Is there any update?
There's not a whole lot of an update right now. We're still working with the county building department. In fact, I think today a building inspector is going to be going to the lot NNM site just to look at it. They said nobody needs to be there, but I have a feeling they're probably going to have to come back because looking at the building permit paperwork, they need to have everything marked out, the property boundaries, the stakes, the setbacks, and I don't believe that that is all displayed out there. But the plans that they're reviewing show a very small footprint of the whole lot, so I'm thinking maybe it'll be okay, but we'll find out. I've just been working, you're talking about volunteer project managers, it's pretty much what Mike Bruno is on that project. So I've been working with him. He's volunteer project manager, civil engineer. We will be going over his plans more thoroughly. And like he also mentioned, not really having the end cost, going through all these motions and not really knowing exactly what it will cost. I feel like we're a little bit in that boat on this project. I know we've gone through many iterations of estimates on how much it's going to cost per square foot or whatnot. But I'm just relying on volunteers on that, really. So without verification, that's how it is.
Thank you for that. Any questions on the sports court? Any public comment or questions on the sports court?
On the bright side, we know that we have the state park funds available. I did get verification from the administrator that those funds are not in jeopardy with the federal funding grant stuff going on. So those funds are there, available still. So we do have that available.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, no other public comment on that. Okay, and then the last discussion item, this came up at the district meeting from, I believe it was Jeff Hildreth, that spoke about the district's resort improvement district 60th anniversary is coming up, and wanting to know if there's interest in us doing a district party, so to speak, and if the committee.
Heck
I think we did this about 10 years ago, and it was a hit. We had music, we had food, we had our little coins, has a little fundraiser, which we had the dunk tank. Yes, we did have a dunk tank. What is it? Do we know? I probably should know this, but I don't right off. Do we have the date of that?
I believe the date is 29th of April. I'll have to verify.
Holy cow.
But
Holy
the
cow.
anniversary wasn't helpful.
Anyway, so maybe in the summer.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, how fun.
So perhaps we'll bring this back next month as an action item on maybe picking a couple of people from the committee to help spearhead and then formalize ideas and such.
Yeah, obviously in the meanwhile, if anybody has any ideas or things that you think would be great, go ahead. And obviously, no guarantee that might happen, but feel free to email any ideas to me that I can put in the right place.
Any comment from the committee on any ideas? Any discussion on that? Yeah, I had forgotten about the dunk tank.
I remember.
Yeah.
I got a great picture of Canyon dunking Mike Caldwell.
Oh, yes, that is, I mean, if you have frustration with the district board, they'll probably put me in there. Any public comment on
I know who I want to put in there.
any ideas? Going once, going twice. Okay. Yeah, I think definitely bring it back to the next agenda as an action item and seeing if there's some. Hopefully we'll have more people on the committee here in attendance, and people might want to volunteer to help work with the office staff and on moving forward with that. I think it's a great idea. Every 10 years, appreciate what the district has accomplished. We get, during emergencies, we get a lot of accolades on making sure services are still provided. And yet, a lot of times it's, RID this, RID that. And so it is, with what we have been given and with the amount of staff, we really have accomplished a lot and we maintain a lot. And so I think it is a good morale booster for the district to celebrate what we are and what we do maintain and what we do accomplish. Okay, so moving on to action items. guess we may have wanted to put that. Go with that later. Approve the minutes for February 27th, 2025. I wasn't here, so is there any questions or comments on? I don't know. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
I propose a motion to approve the minutes of February 27th, 2025, regular Parks and Recreation Committee meeting.
I second.
Roll call.
Eugene,
Aye.
Kristen Sanders, absent. Claudia Dees,
Aye.
Jeremiah Jackson, absent. Laura Ball, absent. Andy Ball,
I
Jimmy Rogers.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, moving on to action item number 2.
may I ask
Oh.
a quick question about something that was on last week's minutes? Is that allowed, or am I too late? Which is fine. Tell me to be quiet.
Go ahead. Even though-
I'm just curious. I noticed that we talked about the survey, and then Jerry and I redid the survey the next day, and I'm curious where that's sitting now.
Okay,
because it's been
that's
a-
coming up.
Oh, it is? Okay, good. Sorry.
That is on the action item part of that.
Okay.
Okay, so moving on to action item number 2, the airport fees. Do you want to read this, Chris, or do you want me to read it?
I promised to Jerry that I would relay to you guys that he requested this table, that I would be tabled because he was actually some questions for it. But we
Okay, just a little background. I know we've been talking about installing some kind of device to collect fees on the airport for the planes, for parking of the planes, just like the golf course. And this would be strictly honor system. There would be no one enforcing, making sure planes, pilots are paid. But basically what we did, we've already purchased these locking mailboxes, metal mailboxes, and we purchased these plastic envelope holders to attach to the mailbox, and we're just gonna make it an honor system, pay whatever for parking, however long, put it in the box, and then once a month, or I don't know how we'll figure it out, how we'll collect the fees and see where that goes. But this will help a little bit with helping out with the airport revenue generation. I know there's some options. That's why Jerry wanted to have input as far as like local discounts or just fees for overnight or fees for day. You can have a whole different. I'm not sure what other airports do, so that would be something that. But Jerry has a lot of knowledge on that. So.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, any thoughts on if it's okay, how you guys feel about tabling this for action?
Yeah,
for
let's
next
table it.
Yeah, Jared needs to be here.
Yeah.
we
I
can-
might say, Chris, that we also talked about having a QR code down there as well as the old school way. You had mentioned that, just because pilot, it might be a lot easier.
Yeah, because this wouldn't be like a credit card system. This would be cash only, basically. We'll check.
So a QR code would probably be a good idea. Yeah, so we can discuss this and bring it back.
Cool. Thank you.
Definitely, from what little research I did, there was definitely, it's kind of seemed.
Yeah, it'll be some time too before the staff can install these boxes. We also have some gates, some honor system gates to install at the 2 main entrances to the taxiway.
Okay. Any other committee comments on this, other than we're tabling it for action for the next meeting? Any public comment in regards to the airport? Going once, going twice, going twice. Okay. Let's move on to, so this motion is tabled until the next meeting. We'll bring it back for action. So now we're getting down to action item number 3, the strategic plan. Let's go to. So the committee voted last meeting to hold no, that's the town hall. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead. Okay, so committee, Wendy, you have something to add?
Well, we finished that whenever this was, and we emailed it to Laura, who was to email it to you. Did you ever receive the survey? Okay, so it's died in an inbox somewhere. I'll try to find it. Can I email? I didn't know what the protocol was, so I emailed it to Laura. Am I allowed to send things directly to you?
Yes,
Okay.
you're allowed.
Then I'll do that today,
Yeah.
because it's too bad.
Yeah, I think for Brown Act requirements, you can BBC the other committee members and just have a do not reply. It's just for information. Don't CC us all at once, because then that's a violation of that Brown Act.
Exactly why I didn't do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just go ahead but you can always, any of the committee members can reach out to district staff in regards to.
We'll know that it's done.
Okay. So strategic, answer. This was under action. I think you're stating that you already have that what you would like included in the strategic.
Jerry and I worked on it together. He wanted to edit it, so I knocked it out. He edited it. We went back and forth, and then it went to Laura.
Okay, yeah. And also, yeah, you can always, like I said, reach out directly to staff. Do you have anything you would like to add on the staff side, what you need within that, or are you just gonna wait till you receive that?
Yeah, I mean, maybe if you have it available, maybe you guys can talk about it a little bit today.
You don't have to
Originally, the request was for it to go out in this month's billing, which I don't, or last month, I'm not sure, whatever month it was requested. We do already have an additional mailer going out in
Yeah, so it wouldn't be the maybe.
in this billing, plus the question from the board to go out as well, so I think that to toss another thing in this month might be a little much.
Yeah, for May, maybe.
Yeah.
I can read it to you.
Is it just like a one sheet?
It's very small. Read these things. It says the Parks and Recreation Committee is assisting the RID with its strategic plan, and we are on a quest to find out what is important to you, the residents of Shelter Cove. The results of this short survey will help us prioritize and learn what you would like from us. We sincerely appreciate you taking the time to complete the survey. And then, how important are the following projects to you? Using a scale of 1, not important, to 5, very important, please rank the following by circling your importance number. A, enhance the golf course. B, encourage recreation and arts in nature. C, upgrade community clubhouse. D, enhance the airport. And then we have some open-ended at the bottom. If you'd like, please expand on any of the above projects with your specific ideas, and then additional comments. When done, please return the survey to the RID office by March 21st. Haha, cute. We'll change that. And then it has your address, and then we thank you.
The only thing that I think would be needed to be added is just a clarification, like if you have other ideas that you would like to be considered.
If you,
Because
I guess that may have been a little open-ended, but we can if we want to.
I feel that will get a more grassroots feedback from the community, because what's mentioned isn't like, in the past when we've done this survey, we had other things come up, and I think that people should have the community should have the opportunity to present their ideas.
Yes, we can add that. So I have additional comments for any of the above, and then just any additional,
Yes.
maybe just open-ended additional
Any
comments.
other ideas, welcome
Yeah.
to be considered. I mean, ultimately, this is going to be going to the district board, so doesn't mean they're going to get their wish list, but I think that asking what their ideas are is part of that outreach. Any other committee comments, questions? Yes, public comment, Jack Hargrave.
Hey, Jack Hargrave. Yeah, honestly, that's pretty much what I was just gonna say. I mean, you're looking for people's input as far as what they want. And the first 4 questions I heard were very directed.
Yeah.
What do you think of this, this, and this?
Well, that came from the strategic plan, which is what we decided to keep it to.
Yeah, but that's like the district strategic plan. You guys are creating a whole different strategic plan as far as for the Parks and Rec. That's what the district currently is focused on. You guys are going to be presenting other things for the district to focus on and kind of give a focal point of ideas. And so honestly, it's in my opinion that you guys really should be focusing on. You guys had a lot of discussion over budget and everything else. There's nothing to fundraise for. There's nothing to budget for. I mean, we have current projects, but you guys are kind of creating the wish list, the dream wish of the Cove, and kind of getting an idea of what we can do and where we can do those things. And you're already starting out a survey with, okay, these are the 4 things that we want you as a focus community to focus on. And I think that's really narrowing that scope already. I think you need to kind of keep it broader from the start to just kind of say, hey, what do you guys want? Especially if we're going to be asking them for funding, what are you willing to put up funding for? You know, what projects do you want to see in your community that you would be, one, buying on, you know, that you would back, and that you would actually be willing to open up your wallet and put money towards? Because, you know, at already trying to set up the funding without having a project, if I had something to give my money towards, then it's a lot easier for me to say, yeah, if you were to come to me and say, hey, we have this community center, it's going to cost us $2.5 million. Would you be willing to pay $500 over the next 5 years in a, you know, $100 a year property tax, you know, to fund this project? Or if it's bigger, we have, you know, these projects that, you know, from right now over the next 5 years, looks like it may cost us $5 million. Would you be willing to put in X amount, you know, to be part of that? And if you're trying to go for a property tax or something, it gives them something that they're going to be working for. You know, you have a master plan that they can actually, you know, buy into, rather than, okay, well, we want to see more Parks and Rec here, and we kind of have these ideas, nothing's fleshed out, but we really need some funding to take care of it. That's going to be a lot harder sell. I'm going to have a lot harder time opening up my wallet and putting money towards an idea versus an actual plan. Because we've seen what has happened. We have these ideas, and then it takes a long time to get these things fleshed out. So yeah, I think, you know, in my opinion, that's kind of what you guys are here for, is to kind of get some more flesh on these ideas, and present them at that way towards the board. Because obviously the board and our ID staff is overwhelmed as far as the day-to-day operational runnings. And so this is kind of trying to take the time to look at the big picture and pull it in for everybody. So yeah, I think the more open you can be on these questions, the better, for people to just basically kind of brainstorm on it. So thank you.
Great. I'll add that to the bottom of the survey and I'll send it out.
Yeah. I know last time we did this survey, we had, people had some really good ideas. Were they all doable? No, but it gave them, at least they were able to express what their ideas. I know a dog park
That'll be fun.
was a runner-up that never materialized.
What was?
Do you remember roughly like how long ago was that? Sorry.
I'm going to say, when did we do that? Do you remember when we did that survey, Jack? I think it was maybe
It's been quite a while.
5 to 7 years ago.
Honestly, no. It could have been as long ago as the 50th anniversary.
I think.
So.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
like 10
honestly,
years.
I believe it was back when Philip was here, when we were doing
Yes.
the community center
So
and
about,
all that.
I would
So,
say 8 to 10 years, because I think I was working in the office, and I wasn't working in the office for the 10 years.
7 to 10 years ago,
Yeah.
I would gauge. So yeah, it's been too long.
Yep.
So yeah.
Too long. Okay, any other public comment? Staff? Jessica?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I guess, I'm looking at the strategic plan that's been partially developed. It's a draft for the Parks and Rec. And I see where the survey came from. It's using the 4 main goals. But I'm not sure that how the survey should be phrased, but I guess my point is that under encouraging recreation and the arts and the nature, it talks about so many different types of things in the plan that's in draft format. Talks about improving beach access, green belts, the Coral Point MOU the playground, the labyrinth, maybe putting artwork out there. These are so many different things. To just prioritize enhancing arts and recreation as one question, I think I find that a little bit limited, I guess. I'm not sure what I would put that as, but I just feel like there's so many ideas in here. And maybe I think that maybe part of this survey was to try to help prioritize these ideas, but if they're not all presented in the survey or an opportunity for people to express new ones to add into this survey or into the strategic plan, I'm not sure. I just feel like there's a lot of information in here.
I get that, Jess.
Maybe having people look at it too, or a link, or something. I'm not really sure.
I think we should add in a link to the draft so that people can access it. I don't think we can put all that information into a survey into the building without it costing an arm and a leg. And I think by having an open-ended question added that we just stated on getting what people would like to hear or what other ideas they would like to be considered, I think gives them a pretty good idea or an opportunity to engage. We will also be doing the town hall, which is coming up, where we will have the draft strategic plan made available. This is my hope. And so we will be able to be taking in at that time as well. I don't see us being able to include the whole thing. Right. And so I think having that, as far as the nature, in particular with that particular enhancing nature activities, etc., that is encompassing, and people can just add to that with this survey, is my feeling, because we're going to be.
I think so too, and also based on the fact, and I don't know if it was last meeting or the meeting before, that is something I feel voted on, is to take the 4 strategic plans questions and roll it out to the community. So this would be an example of making a decision going forward and then regressing. So in the name of making a decision and going forward and continuing to going forward, I'm willing to add that at the bottom, but I don't know that I want to change how the survey was created, because I feel like there was an actual vote on that. Am I wrong, or was that just a discussion?
I wasn't here last.
And vote on like streamlining, which is fine. I don't want to go there, but I just want to be the group that goes forward and not backwards.
We definitely need to move forward, but I do think that, like Jack pointed out, that there's other ideas out there. I mean,
which I agree to adding.
The committee, we have some public members of the committee present now, but we still represent and need to take in consideration people who don't show up to the meetings and who don't normally typically engage. They're still taxpayers, and they need to have an avenue of bringing forth their ideas.
Of course.
So I think that the way we're doing it, adding this open-ended, like, what ideas and projects would you like to see moving forward, and then having that open-ended, it does encompass other aspects of the strategic plan. And then on top of that, having the link to the draft strategic plan would be helpful. Yes.
How about like Jessica? I like Jessica's idea too. I mean, sorry, I know we are going backwards, but just have like only the titles, like she just read out, like beach access, and so maybe like add an additional sheet to the survey, like an appendix A. These are the current proposed, only just the headlines, not the entire project details, like like a beach access or a pickleball or whatever, just one-liner headlines of all the items in there.
I think my concern is, as far as adding additional sheets into the mailing, that increases the cost of the mailing out to the public for the bills.
Right. Because otherwise it's just for like enhancing nature, I would interpret as different as somebody else would, as opposed to beach access.
Mm-hmm.
Is the strategic plan online for people to download and access?
It's not.
I mean, it could be found in board packets from when it was discussed, but other than that, no, it doesn't have its own separate place because it is.
We're so in the infancy of it. But I would be open if we could put the link to the draft Parks and Rec, I know we're not ready for the other aspects of the district to be put on there yet.
No.
But because of the committee's monthly meetings, I think it would be beneficial to have at least the draft.
And certainly it may be coinciding with the town hall meeting next month so that everyone has that for that meeting. That would be good.
So this is listed as an action. I think it's basically the action is to get the survey in. It looks more doable for the May billing.
Yeah.
Is that more doable for staff and as far as what's already going in for this month?
Yeah.
Okay. So any public comment on this? Maybe.
I just have a question. I just have a question. Is the survey in addition to the town hall, or is it supposed to work together?
Both. It's
So
my
if the
understanding.
survey's not going out until May billing, and we're having a town hall in April, how are these ideas supposed to get out to the residents and the public so that we have a focused agenda to talk about in the town hall?
The survey was supposed to go out 2 months ago, so the ball's been dropped, and so it
Okay.
didn't work, which is why it would be great if we could get draft versions into
Is it
people's hands
possible-
for that
Is
meeting.
it possible, I don't know how we would encourage the community to go online and look at the draft so that, we have.
We could, yeah. So we could, I think, under the district page, put it out to the community on Facebook and in the community unity and and through and maybe public finding your email list as far as receiving input as well. It was my understanding that this survey it's also for the people who aren't attending the town hall. It's also for the people who don't normally engage, but receive a bill from the district. And I know we did discuss, I thought, it going out on Facebook. So we would be reaching more people that way as well. We are, as a committee, we are still getting our legs under us and we're not perfect. We are striving to be better. And I think, however we can get the survey to as many people as possible. We might not have all the information for the town hall. I still think it's viable to do the town hall and bring that and incorporate when we get the information back from the survey from the May billing, and then bring it to the board June or July with the list.
We could also post that survey through Pioneer's email or Facebook.
And we could also
Before
could we put it on our website?
Yeah.
Nick can.
It can help me, we can do it.
I was about to say.
Okay, next.
So we pay for an online survey through RTIS. So again, with you guys as being an advisory committee, you guys don't have to take action and really can't take action. You guys can recommend actions for staff to take and then for the board to approve. So if you guys can just give us the information, again, I don't want to sound like a hypocrite by overwhelming staff more, but we do have easier ways. It's not going to work for everybody because as soon as we get the best survey out there, somebody's like, well, I don't know how to use Facebook, or I don't know how to use online. We've gotten down pretty well. So if you guys can get us the questions that you guys want, staff can get that survey out next week. Need the questions. So.
Okay. Yeah, and I think for us, with our action items, Nick, just for clarification, we know that it doesn't trump the board, the district board ultimately, but has a committee so to make sure that we're all on the same page on what we're approving or not or recommending. We're giving ourselves the action items as action. In my limited, but in my research on how this committee is supposed to be operating, I was getting conflicting advice as far as some agencies said don't make recommendations, just do actions, and then others was just don't make actions, just do recommendations. And so I think just to give us more of a feeling of engagement, but making sure really to see where are we as a committee. So we're not just talking in loops is why we're doing our action items.
No, action items are fine.
Yeah.
looking forward into the future and other committees that we've had to read, let's say you guys tell the staff and then the board exactly, this is what we're feeling. And the board says, we can't afford this.
Yes.
And then it turns into, well, the committee told the board.
Yes.
And I'm on the Measure Z committee, which is $14 million a year. We have all these meetings, but really we're just an advisory committee. So we give the board of supervisors advice and they can do whatever they want, hopefully based on our advice.
Can I ask you a question? Nick, is it possible to give the questions we chose plus a link or attachment? Is it possible to do that with the survey where people can read additionally if they want to look
Yeah,
at?
we can put any link in the
awesome.
survey, yeah. It's just, the cool thing about the online surveys is it gives us instant data, and that's something else that isn't really been said is somebody, if you guys do handwritten surveys in the newsletter or whatever, somebody needs to take all that data in. And in my experience in the RIT, a lot of it just goes into the library. And you guys don't have access to it. It's really hard for other people to get access. So when we digitize it, now we can pull it up. Like the ArcGIS automatically makes graphs and everything that you guys can use for visual aids. But we need to commit to that. And hopefully the majority of people use the online one, and then we can have the written ones too. We just realize somebody does have to go through those and take that down. So it takes more staff time.
Yeah, I know it does take more. I think just as many avenues that we can utilize, we should utilize. Not everybody does the online thing.
Is committee allowed to help with that data entry?
Not if it's coming through the billing, I don't believe.
Like I,
Would you, yeah.
before I say it, but no, like I couldn't help with that.
I think that should probably be.
If you learn I can, let me know.
Find out.
So we don't really need this as an action, right? You're just gonna get, or do we need to make a? What would you like?
I guess the action I was looking for was making sure the survey is submitted so that it can go out.
For the meeting, and then,
Yeah, and so since it was, I guess, created by a subcommittee, it's good to hear that the whole committee approves the survey, so I think that would be a good action to approve the survey as presented. Right.
With an attachment of the draft.
With an addition,
yes.
the open-ended.
So it'd be the attachment added, approving the survey, doing the attachment, link added.
To the draft.
To the draft.
And including
And putting that.
any other ideas welcomed, do tell. Edit. Jerry edits me.
Tisha, can I add another? We were talking about the town hall. So the town hall also served the purpose of one of the committee meetings. We'll take it for the public can attend. It's not just the town hall, not just the purpose of the survey too. That's what my understanding was, at least.
Okay, and I wasn't here for that, but we have that
Okay.
town hall. We have that town hall. We'll clarify that in the next. So can I get a motion to approve the survey has been presented with adding the amendment to it, and adding the link for the draft on
To the digital version.
digital version. Does that sound like a good?
I'll second your,
I can't make, I'm chairing it, so I
Oh, you
need somebody
can.
else to make the motion.
too many words.
So this is a motion to, I'm proposing a motion to approve the survey as presented with attachment to the strategic plan draft, and edits to be made to add the public comment or public input, what project they would like to.
I will second your motion.
Roll call.
Joshua Bashin,
Aye.
Tristan Sanders, absent. Todd Asey,
Aye.
Jeremiah Jackson, absent. Laura Ball, absent. Wendy Ball.
Aye.
Amy Rajan.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, moving forward to our next action item, which is the town hall. So I think it was just, on the background. The committee, it sounds like the committee voted the last meeting to hold next month's meeting as a town hall meeting. Do we want to add anything to this to make sure things are included? We want the draft version available. I don't know if that needs to be a part of the action now. I mean, we can make sure it's there, right? We want the draft version.
Probably we'll have to.
Okay.
Town hall, we could just keep it as a open meeting.
As an open meeting. And can we put, and we can add that to the GM newsletter, correct? For April, to let them know that that's happening? Did we already put that out? Did we already do it?
It's already,
Oh, it's already been sent out for the April.
The newsletter, yeah, it should be on the newsletter.
It should be in the
As
newsletter?
far as I remember, yeah.
You did have that already.
Yeah, I can go check right now if you want.
Okay. You didn't see it?
I remember seeing
I
it.
just opened my bill like a couple days ago and I don't remember seeing anything on it, but yeah.
I saw it somewhere, but
It could be, but yeah.
Okay.
Let's check.
Maybe it's just on the community calendar, I'm not sure.
Okay.
It is on the calendar, because I wasn't sure, yeah. It's on the
Oh, it's on the calendar.
It's on the calendar as far as the, yeah.
Okay, but
the
just
town hall
not
meeting.
under the
I
GM.
Don't remember there being
Yeah,
any
it's on
mention of
there.
it in the newsletter though.
what time do evening meetings typically start
It is
around
in
here?
April.
Okay, yeah, like I said, I didn't remember, but yeah.
So this is the newsletter that will be going out.
So it has been going out for this, okay. That's what I was wondering. What time was decided?
6 p.m.
Thank you.
Okay. And, so we definitely want to make sure we have copies of.
Maybe push it away.
I don't know, maybe is it because there's multiple microphones on? I know.
Let me know if you can hear me. Is that okay?
Turn back on.
Okay, I put it further away. So we do want to just make sure that we have draft versions available to the public. And then we can even
The
have.
survey, do we want?
I think we should have the survey there as well, located.
Will the survey be going out before the meeting or?
It will be, but it's just another avenue to have it available to other people who might not do the online, might not open their bills until the last minute. So just another avenue to have it available. I think it's a good idea. Okay, anything else in the committee, anything to add to that? And we have, okay, we'll go to public comment.
I was just gonna add in, on the survey 123, you can, create a QR code, to where people would, at the town hall meeting, you could have that QR code and people can just scan it with their phone to be able to access the survey right there. We do all these surveys with, our firefighters for any apparatus type checks, when they go on a call, when we have trainings. We've kind of been going to this electronic record keeping, so it is very easy. You will be able to, you can have paper forms if people want to fill them out, but if they have their phone on them, they can just take it,
Perfect.
do the QR code and do the survey right there on their phone.
Oh, perfect,
So, yeah.
I love that. We are getting modernized.
And even maybe the QR code in the mailing so that you can get people to go automated.
Program's there, just need to punch in the questions.
Love it.
Okay.
Okay, so can I get, I guess we'll just confirm that the meeting is for April 24th at 6 p.m.
And is it here or there?
It's here because there's yoga at that hour, so it's already been reserved.
It's here at the fire hall.
What I would like to make sure is that I understand exactly what is gonna happen at the town hall meeting, and so, because I imagine I'll be doing a lot of preparatory work for that. So what I have heard so far is that you want printed copies of the survey and the strategic plan, including a QR code for the survey as well. Is there other things that you're planning to do at this meeting and other things you want available at this meeting?
I'd be happy to have a few more of these volunteer forms to hand out. Oh, rad, thank you.
It's my understanding we're really just, this is the town hall to get people excited about the Parks and Rec strategic plan aspect of the district's bigger strategic plan. So just getting that community involvement and reach out, and then also maybe and excited about our committee and that they'll maybe feel inspired to come
With ideas.
with ideas.
Yeah.
Visual displays of sorts that you want to have available. I mean, I imagine a large map would be helpful.
I think maps would be helpful.
The map of that project that was spoken to us last month would be excellent. That you missed. It was so good.
The pump track.
No, not the pump track. Coral Point.
Okay.
They had a great poster.
Could we invite them? Do you think they might want to contact them? Or do you think?
I'll ask them.
Okay.
I'm not sure that an hour of their presentation is gonna help us. I mean, I appreciate what they did, and it was great here. I don't mean to put it down.
Okay.
But I mean, we are gonna have a lot of talkers there. I mean,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? If it's anything like the meeting we had 18 years ago, the place was packed and we talked for like 3 hours.
Yeah, that's true. So maybe we can just, if they want to just.
Yeah, I would imagine that would be more of an invite.
Or a visual of when we're talking about art and nature, an example of that, rather than a presentation.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, I think you're right with that. And then just like maybe we could, that initial map you put in with our, or at our first meeting, we had the map of the district. That would be a good thing to have up on a slide, just so people can see where our green belts are and what we're looking at. Potentially. Other than that, I think it's really, it's an open town hall. It is our meeting, our monthly meeting. It'll serve as our monthly meeting, but it is going to be open to the public to really let us know.
We bring a pot of decaf?
Refreshments?
Can we?
We can do our best with refreshments.
I just asked Todd, we'll bring a pot of decaf.
Okay, we'll do decaf. Maybe I'll make something gluten free. See how it goes. We'll see what we can get. We can get put together. Okay, so could I get a motion to confirm the next District Parks and Rec strategic plan meeting for turning into a town hall for April 24th at 6 p.m.
I move to have a town hall meeting April 24th at 6 p.m. at the RID Town Hall.
I mean, this motion was made. This motion was made.
Okay, so you guys already did this? Okay.
Good to go.
Okay, well then I guess we don't even need that
Cool.
motion.
Check.
We're
then we
just
saw
gonna
it.
do it. We're doing it.
Doing it.
All right. We've confirmed it then. Okay, moving forward. I was hoping for this to be an action item. Chris, do you want to do the background on this, or do you want me to?
You can go ahead.
Okay. So at the last Resort Improvement District meeting, March 20th, it was requested that the Parks and Recreation Committee research options associated costs for a safer 4th of July experience in Shelter Cove due to the threat of fire. The possibilities could include a laser show, or a drone show, or a professional pyrotechnic company, or other options. It is quite possibly too late to get anything underway for this year, yet it will be brought back up for discussion at the next board meeting, and the board would like to hear about options. So the objective is to discuss and research options and how much it could cost for a safer 4th of July. I had asked for it to be on the action because I was hoping we would have more committee members here, and that maybe a couple people would like to help spearhead that discussion, which would also include going to the different nonprofits and seeing what kind of ideas they may have. We don't have all of our committee members here, so I don't know that we can.
Is this stemming because of fires every 4th of July? You just want to nip it in the bud?
Yes. Nick, do you want to speak to this?
Is this out of control, or give me some background? I don't know.
So again, this isn't really your guys' problem. What it is every year since 2014 when we had the fire that scorched the houses off of Eel Court, the original plan 10 years ago was to come up with an alternative to the fireworks on the beach. So Shelter Cove is known culturally for a legal fireworks show. Anything that flies in the air is illegal. Right? Safe and sane fireworks, even in California, are being discussed at the state level of banning fireworks. Right? And as a fire chief, I have the authority. I can go in, I can write tickets, I can take fireworks away. Safely, we can't do that on the beach during 4th of July. We can't safely access it. We're not going to go cause a riot by getting those fireworks away from people at the amount that there is now. Right? It's out of control. You know, people will bring their fireworks, whether it's a recreation destination, it affects the economy. If we were to say no fireworks in Shelter Cove and start the campaign now, we would see a drop in the economy in Shelter Cove. People just wouldn't come out here that normally would. We want Shelter Cove to be safe. We don't want to affect business owners. We don't want to affect recreation. We don't want to affect Airbnbs. However, one errant firework will, burn this whole place down depending on what the weather is 4th of July. We've had 2 fires the last 2 years, and rain the 3rd year, and then we had a fire the year before that. The fire department has a current process that we go through that has been very productive and has been successful since that fire. However, we are still on edge every year. Last year we left, came back to the station, and the fire got started after we'd been sitting there for 8 hours. What we're asking is the community to look into that alternative and have us have a transition period for us to come in and say, hey, we're going to transition away from the illegal fireworks that we do turn a blind eye to. We have them, hey, we're going to let you do them and we're not going to harass you, write tickets if you do them at the beach over the water. And again, every time one of them gets shot backwards out of the thousands that are shot and done fairly safely. But if we witness those, right, now who's liable for allowing those to happen? Right? We've talked to CAL FIRE, we've talked to Humboldt County Sheriff's Office, we're on the same agreement that it's unsafe to send officers or firefighters down and start taking those fireworks. But however, what happened in 2014, the next year after that, the board, the community, we had a bunch of people, 40, 50 people demanding us shut down the fireworks. Right? So what did? We brought in law enforcement that year. We pushed everybody off the beach and they started lighting fireworks off in cul-de-sacs and at Black Sand Beach and everywhere else. Right? So there's not an easy answer for this. However, we do need to do something as a community. If we have one of the hot, dry, windy 4th of July, it's too late for us to be like, oh, now we're going to shut everybody down. And so I do think the silver lining to that is we can look at another thing that can bring in tourism, can make it more of a community event. And we're not recommending any of those. Those are just options. But I think it does fit into this committee's purview to say, hey, this is what we're going to look at to roll into the Parks and Rec kind of long-term plan. I've heard of 4th of July carnivals. Bento does their professional pyrotechnics, but every few years they get shut down due to red flag warning. Right? So that's something to maybe talk to them to say, hey, is it a better solution to bring it out here? And I'm sure there's going to be other issues with bringing it out here. I know a lot of other places are going to laser shows because they have no sound, they don't affect animals or other things. The drones were popular, but now they have one where the drone shows the drones are falling out of the sky and hitting people. So the other side to it is what happened in Crescent City is the non-fire side, but the public safety side. Last year, Crescent City had a large firework explosion that almost killed a child, hurt 30 other people, overwhelmed their fire department. And that's another area on the North Coast where they kind of turned a blind eye to fireworks on the beach. And not too long ago, we had a smaller instance of that where we had 6 people that we had somebody threw fireworks in the burn pile down there. They went off and a few people had seizures, another couple people were burned and started a fire. And so all of a sudden we had 6 incidents at once, which overwhelmed the department. So I do think it is going to take a little bit of time, but again, just like anything else, planning now is going to benefit us in the future. And it could be something really good by 3 or 4 years from now that the community is used to and people travel to come be part of that show.
Thank you for that, Nick.
Yeah, thanks for the background.
Yeah, it's definitely like you brought up. It is a part of our, a way for businesses in the district to make money. Well, not kind of cost the district with our fire department, but so far we've been very blessed, very lucky that the weather conditions have allowed these fires not to get out of control. But it's just going to take one freak windstorm, and then that's, that could cost the whole Cove under the guise of, bringing in tourism and money. But if there's not a Cove for people to come to, then it would be very bad. And so I think just trying to help maybe start changing the culture to more of from my perspective, it would be helping change the culture to having more of a safe. I mean, we're doing the safe and sane fireworks, which does attract the children, which is really nice. But even doing public outreach or public awareness, maybe having flyers like, hey, this is what fireworks do in our community. Please be safe. Please no illegal fireworks. That type of, and whether they do it or not, we don't have a lot of control over. But just getting that public awareness is one, in my opinion, one way we could start the conversation.
Is it worth having a conversation at the town hall meeting next month to get it going? Is there going to be pushback on it? My 2 questions. Is there going to be part of our community that doesn't like that?
We're less worried about the awareness part. We're going to handle that. The fire city, we're more, in your guys' boat right now is it worthwhile to have a larger community event, right? For more parks and recreation thinking, our tourism thinking on that side. Yeah. The RID fire department will handle the safety of that issue. That's the catalyst of why we're having this conversation. But we do want to get ahead of if the fire department deems it one year, like, hey, we're shutting down. We don't want the community, the business owners especially, come back and be like, oh, you kicked out 3/4 of the people that, we're coming to Shelter Cove for 4th of July specifically.
Yeah.
Because I got a couple questions for you about fires here that's happened on the 4th of July.
Yeah.
Years ago, the fire down off of Dolphin was not a local. It was people that were pushed off the beach because, now I'm just going to give what I feel here. You guys can, however you think. People come here, they see this huge fireworks thing going down on the beach. They brought their own fireworks. They want to look good in front of their kids, and they go someplace else. And when they do that, I think you talked 3 fires. 2 of those were caused that way, right? That people went other places. The one was just on the beach and flew up and hit high. That was a beach problem. But the other 2 that I know of, I believe, were both caused by tourists that left the beach to shoot off fireworks.
That's incorrect. They were at the boat ramp, almost in
Not the one at
Dolphin was the first one.
Yeah,
That was 2014.
that was the only one of the 2. The other 2 were both.
There's been 3 now. Yeah, there's been 3 right above the boat ramp. And so that's the boat ramp specific issue is we feel really safe about keeping the people down the boat ramp on the fire side, but it only takes that one, and we put all our resources
stray off of there. You know what I mean? And I think that one thing is that we got to try to make sure that no one outside of the beach is shooting off fireworks unless it's the one that we do here for safe and sane. And then I think that, corralling them there is the best that we can do. I got a feeling that this year will be much smaller than the years before, just because we have had people here locally that have brought a good number of fireworks that I just don't think that's going to happen again. And as you say that, then our mission would be to try to redevelop that as a non-firework sort of 4th of July partition or a professional one that we could work on in 3 or 4 years. And I think that that's a great idea as far as working it. You know what I mean? I'm not sure that, as you said, this year we're going to be able to stop it, but I think that signs that would promote no fireworks off the beach would be a big start.
Yeah, so we're doing that right now. We're aggressively 0 tolerance anything on the beach. We've been doing that for 10 years. We thought the same thing is as the economy changed, we'd see less. Last year it was one local with a lot of the fireworks, and then the start of the fire we left. The year before that was also a local. Yeah. And so we were anticipating, hey, these fireworks are going to trend down. And compared to the 2000s, they have. Yeah. And I've heard that from other people. Oh, it's a lot more wild. Right now, we are sanctioning illegal fireworks on our beach. Yeah. Right, and that's the hard part. It's the best we can do, and I totally get that. And that's what the fire department's stance has been, including we have backing from Humboldt County Sheriff's and CAL FIRE, because right now it's the best we can do. The overall agreement with these departments that started 10 years ago was we have to work towards an alternative, and then didn't happen. And so we're bringing that up again and saying, hey, this it seems like it wasn't that long ago, but that Dolphin fire was 2014. And so now in 2025, we're going on 11 years, and it's the same thing, right? Where the fire department and the CERT team have changed. how we respond to that, which leads to more man hours at 4th of July, which our firefighters are fine with. We commit to a 24-hour shift that night. We brought in Whale Gulch Fire and paid them to be out there with us for the first time last year. Again, as a fire chief, as somebody that you guys pay for the safety of Shelter Cove, I told the board before, as well, is I'm not comfortable with us allowing illegal fireworks in Shelter Cove, period. And then we're doing the best we can with the people that are going to bring them anyway, and that's being realistic about it. But not having an alternative over 10 years is on the fire department, it's on the RID board, it's on the community. And so I agree with you. I do think it's going to take time, and I wish we would have committed to it 10 years ago because that time has already passed. And that was predecessors. From 2018 is when I was taking over, and that's when we decided to say, hey, this is what we're going to do with the new way of the CERT team. And I know Tess has been on it, and she found people lighting off fireworks over in the zoo last year. And so no matter how perfect we are, and I do think it has been a successful program, it only takes that long. And maybe it rains, maybe it's foggy, who knows this year. But I do think there's an opportunity to make it a tourist event as well, and that's something that we have to look at if we want to bring people and have our businesses successful. So.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, you bet.
Jessica?
And to my recollection, what the board was looking for from the Parks and Rec Committee was to research the options and the costs so they can start discussing them a little bit more.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, and
I have a friend who puts on drone shows, so I'll shout out.
There we go.
And also, I think an important consideration is the one that you're doing in Bentonville, right? Because that's part of the Garberville Redway business owners boost. So we would be, if we did one out here also, it would be kind of in direct competition. Might have to work together on that one.
And I kind of like the idea, I think it was mentioned, have a festival weekend and have events that steer things away from the highlight being fireworks. Could be fun.
I think for the action item, what I was hoping to look for is getting a couple of people from the board, from this committee to take this on as far as looking for research and connecting with the different nonprofits to see what ideas are out there and what collaborations could be happening. Do we want to wait till we have
Full group?
a full group before we make that determination? Or
I think so.
I think so too.
I think it would be fair to the group.
so we'll table as far as picking the committee members to help spearhead this, and leave it as a discussion for today. I definitely think that we, like Nick said, had we started addressing this 10 years, started looking at other options, we would be further along. And it's just a matter of, in my opinion, a matter of time before something really bad happens. And ultimately, the liability could fall on the district and the fire department because we are turning that blind eye to the illegal fireworks. So to speak, yes.
So I strongly support something like electronic fireworks, environmentally friendly, no sound, pets friendly, and pollution friendly, all of that. So but I understand. Right. And get rid of the old-fashioned firework. And also, like Chris mentioned, Benbow does it, and HLA pays for it at $68,000. I am assuming something like a drone would be much cost-effective too.
And that's kind of where my brain was going. As we get there, is there a budget or how will we pay for this once we figure out what this is?
Yes, and currently there is no budget.
Yeah.
So I think that also goes back to, like you just mentioned, the Humboldt Alliance might be something to consider. And that's where I was hoping to have some committee members be the outreach to the different nonprofits to see if they have any avenues for funding or any recommendations. So I think I would like to bring this back next month and just continue. Hopefully we can take action and get a couple committee members on board to help spearhead this. And yeah, but maybe today we don't take action. Yes, Jack. Have a comment.
Yeah, I'd just like to point out that most places that have stuff like this, it's usually a chamber of commerce. Because look at who is benefiting, the businesses. That's who's coming out. They're staying in all the hotels, they're staying at the Airbnbs, they're eating out and everything else. That's who it's benefiting. I mean, yes, we as a community get to enjoy it, but honestly, as residents here, it's kind of a pain in the butt having our population triple or quadruple for the span of a week to a week and a half. So it's ultimately the businesses that are, making the benefit out of this. So I think that maybe that should be kind of like the impetus of where this is at. I mean, when Benbow has theirs, you see the little donation things in town. I know it was, they used to have like the price and kind of thing. We're trying to raise $40,000 for our, fireworks show kind of thing. And it was all the businesses that were pushing it because, they're the ones who are getting the benefit out of it, filling up the rooms and filling up their seats. So, I think that's kind of where you should put the focus on and maybe have some of the, we've got our other nonprofits for all our community stuff. And so it's, it comes to a point where you can, overtax people. And so kind of look at who's getting the benefit and see where you want to get it from.
That's a good point. I think the two nonprofits that we have that deal with businesses,
Yes, Visit Lost Coast is one. Julie is the president of that, and Visit Shelter Cove is another one. I'm the president, and we have 9 volunteer board members. Would love to partner and promote that also.
so maybe that.
Yeah, and if and when we form the committee, I'd be interested in maybe a liaison, right? Work with HLA and see if the HLA would fund anything. Would put the heads on the beds. That's their motto. And like Jack rightfully said, it's the business community going to benefit most of it.
Yeah. I wonder if the Humboldt or if the Garberville Rotary, or do they do things, or is that separate?
They do. I could ask them. I'm a member there too. Definitely, I could check with them.
I was thinking too, one way to work around the competition factor with the Garberville areas. I kind of have Eureka and Fortuna do it. Eureka does it on the 4th, but Fortuna does it on the 3rd, so they're not. So you can somehow coordinate with them, so we're not stealing each other's thunder.
It's also, they've been shut down quite a few years too for fire risk, right? So that was one thing I brought up is reaching out to them and being like, hey, if there's
how do you deal with this?
Right, that they shut it down. That's on CAL FIRE and the fire district in Garberville.
Which is kind of which is kind of a plus at looking at an alternative.
I want to sort of mention one thing is that very important is what the tide is. You know what I mean? And I don't know, I looked on my phone, I was hoping that I could see it, the tides here for the next few years actually, but we might aim at a bad tide year here in the next 2 or 3 years and draw the line there, just, and say, that's it. We're going to make something new. It ain't going to be fireworks. At that point, we're going to stop fireworks here. You know what I mean? And then we can start raising money, get buy-in for a new thing that's going to go on, but draw the line somewhere and say, you know what, that's the year that everyone's going to respect. You know what I mean? Take it from me. I have never been on the beach on the 4th of July. I'm on my house every year. You guys know where I live. I'm there because if a fire starts, I got to be able to pack everything up. And if I started down there, I'd never make it in time. So, you know what I mean? For me, I've never spent the 4th of July down doing anything. And my business will be closed that evening because of that reason, that I'll be up at my house and worry that we will burn to the ground from this fire. So, you know what I mean? So it's a situation that I am very into it. And I think that we should, like you said, work on a 3 or 4 year plan where we are going to make a change and things will change. And for those people that want to be part of the illegal fireworks group, we can discuss with them. Maybe they'd like to come across and help us out with this new program that's a little safer for everybody.
Contribute money.
Yeah, no, I mean, you know what I mean? That the buy-in is the buy-in. I don't, you know what I mean?
We want to tie in with the businesses.
Yeah.
We want to come in and force it so we're ready to have that alternative.
There you go. And I think though, if we looked at a bad tide day, we might save ourselves, there'd be more buy-in.
The last 3 years.
The last 3 years.
I mean, it pushes them off almost every time, you know what I mean? So, yeah. As I said, I'm not there, so
Fortunately, I've been there.
It doesn't discourage. Yeah, it just condenses.
Yeah,
all at once.
And July 4th is a Friday this year.
Busy one.
And we'll drag through for 3 more years. So, yeah.
It always goes through. If it's midweek, we've seen it. If it's midweek, it's a week and a half long affair. if it's on a weekend, yeah, it kind of focuses on that weekend. But I've been doing business long enough that, yeah, if it was on a Wednesday, Thursday, Tuesday, it was both weekends. It just bookended it was Party Central the whole time. So, and if it's even if it's on a weekend, you kind of have those people who couldn't get off the 4th of July weekend coming the week before. So, yeah, it's definitely a standout thing.
Yeah, definitely the last few years it's been.
Is it a
high
bad
tide.
tide again this year?
Yeah.
When is the low tide that day?
5.78 feet at 7:57 p.m.
Oh,
That's not bad.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
I would say last year was probably the most out in the zoo area where we were patrolling was the most people trying to set off fireworks. We had a group of like about 15 people who just thought they were in the middle of nowhere, and luckily they were not inebriated, and they were they did what they were asked to do, which was go down to the airport. But it just takes out one freak.
Yeah.
Accident.
It's an opportunity for a new kind of fun.
Maybe it's a crazy idea, maybe it's not, but maybe as a first year transition, maybe we could celebrate 60 years, we could celebrate Red and America on the same weekend, maybe.
not a bad idea.
We could tie that in.
Okay, I think we're going back to one last public comment, or we're getting close.
Real quick, Mike, I just wanted to say that my husband and I used to do laser light shows. If you're gonna do a laser light show, you need to get somebody now. Because you have to get an FAA permit. And the only place I can think of actually because you have to hang mirrors and stuff. So this is probably at the lighthouse.
And I think that for this year, we're probably a little too late to be changing,
I agree with
switching things up. We'll probably stick with our safe and sane one. And but just I think this is a great discussion, and definitely it takes time to change the culture, but I think that the will is out there, and definitely adds to the plate of the district or of this committee. But I think it's well worth it. So we'll bring it back next.
We could do something great.
Yeah, bring it back next month, and hopefully pick a couple people, regardless of how many people we have here.
Okay.
In attendance. Okay, so I think we will call this meeting adjourned at 12:05.
Woo-hoo.